Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from Pelt Music. Shortly, we will be chatting with Oxbowlake after we featured their recent single, Louis Theroux, over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Full Pelt on social media. We are on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you are watching or listening. Welcome, listeners, to the latest episode of the Discover New Music podcast from Full Pelt Music. Absolutely delighted today to have Gavin and Neil from Oxbowlake on the podcast. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, how are you both doing on this sunny day?
We're not bad. Sweaty.
Bit clammy.
Yeah. Bit clammy.
Clammy is the word.
Yep, I am with you on that one. Yeah, we said we're not really used to it in the UK, are we? But, you know, we shouldn't moan about it. So you guys just put out your latest single, Louis Theroux, which we've really enjoyed, and we've stuck on the Discover New Music playlist over on Spotify. Yeah. So obviously, listeners, head there to check out the single. But we start every podcast with the same feature, and that is the origin story. So how did you two come together as Oxbowlake? What is the origin story for the band?
Story, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a nice story. So I've been in and out of bands for donkey's years, and I finally ended up at the last band I was in before we got Oxbowlake started was a band called Stiff Liquid, and it was a bassist, drummer, guitarist, and me on vocals, and we'd written a song, or I'd written a song, and I was like, do you know what, that needs a rhythm guitar and a lead guitar. We need another guitarist. To which the bassist went, I know someone, one of the guys who's just started with us plays a bit of guitar, we'll get him in for that song, and he can come and play it live if he wants to, or he can just come down and lay the track down, or whatever, you know. At that point, Gavin came in and started playing guitar for us, and he didn't leave. It wasn't one song, it wasn't one recording, you know. We didn't click first straight away.
Okay.
It's quite miraculous that I didn't leave, really, because I like to add that I couldn't play guitar for shit back then. I blagged my way into a band.
You did all right, man. You did all right. Yeah, we've been going for about to a couple of years, I suppose, somewhere around there. So,
and I know a lot of guitarists are hard on themselves in like their abilities and their professional capabilities, but I was well out of my depth. But I stuck in there.
Right,
I dug my heels in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sink or swim, and you swam.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly. So yeah, well, we were together then for about 5 years with Stiff Liquid, and then something happened. I don't know, but the band split. It was just one of them things. So I mean, it happens, and it happens a lot. And we decided that we'd just sit and play in the kitchen. We asked the guitarist the drummer, if he wanted to, you know, join in, and he was like, yeah, but he was pretty sort of apathetic towards it all. And
we didn't have anybody, we didn't really have anywhere to practice.
We didn't have a rehearsal space or anywhere.
The punk kind of stuff that we were doing.
We already had a rehearsal room for that. It was
we lost that with the band.
Yeah. So we just started playing in the kitchen, and it was like, should we just play a bit? We just play a bit. And we wrote a few songs, and then somebody asked you if we were still doing it.
Yeah. This is like over 10 years ago.
Yeah. So they said, do you fancy coming down and playing in a stable? We're in a field, camp for the weekend.
It was like August bank holiday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So we went down. We had a few bevies. We got a brilliant picture of him with 30 marshmallows in my mouth. Yeah.
Wow.
I won.
He did win. Yeah. So it comes up every year.
Impressive.
And then it's like it was from then on in. We played a couple of songs, went down a storm. It was like, oh, well, maybe we'll do a jam night, you know, because we were both itching to get back out and gig. We'd done a lot of gigs with Stiff Liquid, and it was like, you know, I actually fancy being in front of people and you know, playing our music and seeing how well it goes down. And it went down a storm, and we haven't looked back. We haven't looked back since then. We've just grown and grown.
It's been a slow snowball, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice, man. Yeah,
steady pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice because we get all different types of origin stories from different bands, and some come together really quickly. Obviously, your story's a bit longer, and but also really interesting, as you say. You didn't really know Gavin until he was sort of thrust into the band, and
No,
perhaps
and we didn't click initially.
Yeah.
We didn't click. I'm mental, and I go a bit over the top when I meet new people. I
He's
get
very
excited.
excitable. He's very excitable.
And I'm sort of in your face, and I was a bit in his face, and we got on all right. But me and the bassist have been, we were the best of friends for a decade before that. And again, still don't know what happened to the band. No idea. But yeah, so our relationship was quite intimidating to people from the outside. So we'd been told anyway. I mean, I didn't consider that myself, but other people had told us it was, that sort of relationship was like, oh, those two are best buds, and then the band sort of started progressing, and me and him became really close and started writing stuff together. Acoustic stuff, and the band was full on flipping all the time, and we'd gone, actually we're going to go away and we're going to become best mates and we're going to write this ding 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 and it was all a bit totally flipped everything on his head.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what broke it in the end. And then I'm just gas bagging again, and I'll shut up.
You've got that motive, you want to prove the doubters wrong, and I think you've done that, and obviously that brings us on to Louis Theroux, your latest single. As I say, listeners, check it out on the playlist, and of course on all streaming sites. So really catchy song, and a bit of I think it's a bit of a lockdown song, really, isn't it? Certainly, I believe it was written in lockdown, and lyrically, kind of, the themes of it take me back to lockdown, sitting in front of the TV. Didn't watch too much Louis Theroux, if I'm honest, but
well, not metaphor for everything.
He's a big journalist, and there always seems to be a bit of Louis Theroux on the BBC.
There does. Yeah. Ironically, I've just been away on holiday, and the wife found a book in the cottage we were in by Louis Theroux as I was listening to the song that you'd sent me.
Keyhole?
I'm not sure. I didn't get too in depth with the book. I left the wife to that. But I thought just a bit of a funny one. That one, obviously, very ironic. So Louis Theroux, talk to us about the song. How did you guys come up with the song? And what does it mean to you?
I'll take this one. So I wrote it 2020, just before the summer of 2020, and we had spent. It was could have been like 4 months. We didn't see each other 4 months. No, we see each other pretty much every day. We have a really tight relationship, and we love. If we're not gigging, we
spend time together.
We practice and we spend time together, whether it's fishing or whatever. But I was sat alone, missing this guy, and kind of like thinking about relationships that were going to come to a head and be like getting under each other's feet in the house. And so I just came up with this concept. Obviously, it's quite a gimmicky song, I suppose. Using the Louis Theroux metaphor, but I just came up with this concept of people hating each other, then hating themselves, and finding themselves only sat down watching TV all the time and getting sick of it. When, if they think about it, some of their nicest moments have been sat watching TV together. So they're arguing about something they actually love doing together, and that's what's about.
Yeah, and it does work really, really well. I love the kind of chanted chorus and everything. I think it would work really, really well live. And you have actually just put a video out for it as well, which listeners again can check out on YouTube. I believe you filmed it recently at Big Love Festival, I believe it was. And again, actually, I think the video works really, really well. It's quite a fun video, and shows what you can do with probably quite a low budget, which is
mobile phone.
Ingenious.
Mobile phone.
Yeah, exactly, ingenious on your part. So talk to us about just the concept for the video and where you got that from.
Well, it was. I mean, Gav came up with the idea of doing a lyric video with the cards, and everybody's seen Subterranean Homesick Blues. It's a genius concept.
Yeah.
But he came up with the idea of having it come into your hand and then displaying it. So yeah, it was tricky to work that around, but it only took us. We did almost a full take, and then realised that what we were doing we'd done backwards, and it could have worked the other way round.
We kind of double reversed it by mistake.
We double reversed it by mistake, and it could have worked, but it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have given us the smoothness that we were looking for, and the how the fuck did they do that then?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Which, you know, we're not trying to confuse people. It was just we wanted to do something that was a bit clever, but we only had a tiny budget, you know. And luckily, one of our top blokes at the moment, our good friend Nate, was with us, and he gives hand as well. So he's in the video as well. And it was nice that he managed to come down.
Yeah, but he came up all the way from Kent to see us.
Yeah,
we kind of spent the whole weekend with him because he's travelled so far and he was on his own. Yeah. So yeah, we ended up shooting a video with him. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It was a boiling hot day. Oh my god! In fact, the whole day was perfect from beginning to end. And literally, the video took us no more than about an hour.
Yeah, about an hour.
It was probably an hour, even with the cock up.
Yeah,
it took us an hour. Do you know what I mean? And then we did the live bit when we were on stage, when we did our set. Was it that day or was it the next day? It was the next day, wasn't it? It was the next day we had our set, and luckily people came to see us. So yeah, just invited the audience onto the stage, and oh god, it was a riot. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly it looks really fun, and it is a fun single. You know, so we've really enjoyed it, and listeners certainly need to check it out. So when you talk about, people came to see you, and I want to move on now to reactions, and obviously people coming to see you is always a good reaction, but in this day and age you've got social media and you've got all that instant reaction. When you put out a new song, is it a bit nerve-wracking these days for you to see what that reaction is going to be, and how have you found the reaction to Louis Theroux?
Well, the thing is, we've released quite a bit of music, considering we've only really ever gigged around our local area. It's only been this year, through crazy circumstances, that we bumped into other bands that we've supported. So up until now, we've been releasing them just as like kind of bucket lists. Do you know what I mean? We record a song, we write a song, we record a song, and we just put it out there for anybody who does want to listen to it. But it's changed a bit this year.
It has changed a bit this year, and I suppose there are a bit more expectations involved, but they're all being fulfilled. It's had brilliant reception. It's being played on radio stations around the world, which is phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Because we are just a couple of guys with a guitar who just go around and just have some fun, you know. But yeah, we've had really good reception. It's streamed really well on the old streaming sites.
Yeah, it's getting nice.
Yeah, so yeah, we're really enjoying it actually. It's a bit odd because it's got the full band feel.
Yeah.
Whereas actually we play it acoustically, but we do kick the shit out of it when we play it live. It's really good fun, and we get everybody involved. You know, everybody singing through, and yeah, it's really really good fun.
Yeah, it was produced by a guy called George Marriott, which you probably know. He invited us down as a bit of a thank you for doing some support slots for them.
Yeah,
I recorded a few tracks with him, which we'll be releasing over the course
periodically,
of the
year. Yeah, until the end of the year, and then we'll have an EP out next.
And he's just done a fab job on it.
He knows his tune.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, obviously George plays in a band called Pet Needs, and there's quite an interesting story, isn't there, for how you guys and Pet Needs kind of forged a bond on the road, as it were. So we had Pet Needs on this podcast probably about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. And I was talking to Johnny about the DIY ethos of the band and everything, and obviously a big part of that was the fact they'd gone out on a what they called the Borrowed Toothpaste tour, which was coming out of lockdown, having not been able to tour properly. They had a tour, I think, with Frank Turner cancelled, and they decided, you know what, we're just going to go out, play shows, go around people's houses or other places that we can get, and play these pop-up shows, and funnily enough, actually, talking the DIY and punk attitude that I was talking to Johnny about, when we get to the end of this podcast, I'll ask you for your final message. And Johnny's final message to us, rather than plugging his own music or anything like that, he said, "Go and listen to Oxbowlake," which I thought was a very, very punk thing for him to do. So I'm delighted to have you on, and obviously you can add your side into the story here. So obviously, tell listeners the story of how you came to play on that first show and where it went.
I'll leave that on you.
Yeah, so me and my partner, my girlfriend Jess, were due to see Frank in the January-February, but obviously that got cancelled. But we became Pet Needs fans, like do you remember the Frank Turner socially distant shows?
Yeah,
there was one in Gloucester over a Saturday and a Sunday, and I'd gone to see them and saw Pet Needs for the first time, and actually like fell in love with them straight away. Bought their vinyl and went on to see them at Lost Evenings, and then went to their Fractured Party People gig in Colchester on the 27th of December last year. Still just fans, and
yeah.
So, but in that time, they had been signed, given up their jobs, and then had these 2 months of dates ripped up from under their feet.
Yeah, because COVID hit again.
Yeah,
just after the Christmas.
And I believe Frank wasn't. They were unsure of what was going to happen, so they were like, in all fairness, we don't want to cancel the last minute.
That was only January.
I know, it feels like such a lot of time ago.
Oh my God.
So weirdly, because of COVID, they then had to think of a way to earn money to make a living, and they came up with this idea of this DIY tour of private parties, really, involving just their little group of fans. And my girlfriend booked them to play at our house, and we were sat talking to Johnny and George, talking about the times and the dates, what dates would work. And Johnny said to me, he said, "Oh, I see you're in a band from your Facebook profile. Do you want to open up for us?" He hadn't even heard of us or heard us, or he didn't know what we were called. So yeah, we played it, and
the funny thing is, when they decided to sort of ask us to come and play, and knew that there was going to be a bit of a relationship there, we've actually got it on video, which is very cool, because
the look,
there was a look from across the room.
Yeah, we recorded. I think we went live. I think we went live. I put there's a set of stairs just behind us here. And I put the camera up on the stairs up middle way, so it was overlooking quite a nice little crowd of about 25, 30 people in a living room playing through a PA.
It was nuts.
Which was crazy in itself. That they were in our house playing music. Yeah, but it's the fact that they asked us to play was such...
It was banging, and I wasn't a fan at this point. I heard a couple of their tracks. I'm not saying I wasn't a fan. I'd heard a couple of tracks. I liked it, and I thought, that's cool. But the really, really nice thing about it for me is that I've got to know all their songs off the first album, and a couple off the new album, from seeing them live. Yeah, because we gave them a few times, and it's like, oh, I know all these songs now. Do you know what I mean? And it's a very cool way to get to know a band when you haven't got any of their stuff. I mean, I have now, but it was a cool thing to do. It really made me see music differently for the first time in my life. I've been to a lot of gigs and I've done a lot of live stuff, but I never learned a band's stuff by watching them live. And it's a very cool thing to do.
And they're just so good live.
Oh, God,
Like I talk as a fan because I'm still a fan, and I knew all their songs before even this started, and to be able to do that with them was just such a pleasing thing to do. It was such
and obviously you made such an impact on them with that show at your house that I believe you were invited, and you've obviously played other shows with them since as well, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. We played another Borrowed Toothpaste date, and then we played in
there was another two Borrowed Toothpaste.
Another two, sorry.
The Paper Mill in Kent.
Oh, the Paper Mill, I forgot about that. So we played a couple with them, and then they got us on the bill for their they did a small sort of UK tour, and they got us on the bill at the Louisiana of Bristol, which is a night we will never ever forget.
Berries were there.
Oh,
the Berries were there. Yeah. I've seen Berries a few times and I love them. I think they're great.
Yeah, it was an astonishing night.
But we had, probably the gig of our career so far.
So far, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. It was
That was good fun.
Oh, excellent, and I love that you added so far, because there's definitely more to come from Oxbowlake. I'm pretty sure of it. And you touched on my next question a little while ago, actually, because my next question was obviously you've been putting out some singles over obviously the last sort of year or two. What is the next sort of thing for Oxbow? Like, you've mentioned an EP, so you've kind of answered it already. My question was going to be when something meaty are going to come. So it sounds like you've got some stuff recorded.
Yeah. So the rest of the EP, we've got another song to record.
We've got
the EP.
Yeah,
we've got 3 of the songs with Louis and the 2 others.
Yeah, and then we're recording another one hopefully by the end of the year, and then sort of early next year we're hoping to get
complete the album,
get the EP out. But then we're looking to start doing the demos for the album now, for the second album. Which is going to be so different to the first album.
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's got more energy behind it now.
It has, and we're much more experienced now as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we've grown a lot. Well, since we did the first album, which was Christ, what was that?
2016 it came out.
Jesus, was it really? So 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've grown a lot. Musically, but also as people.
Yeah.
So. The content of the songs are different, and the way we think about writing is different. It used to be things would just sort of fly, and something would come into your head and you just bash on with it. I'm actually lyrically, I know he's improved as far as guitar goes, but I think the lyric writing has improved and there's more thought going into it, and there's more of a process now rather than just scribbling stuff down, straight away and racking your brains. And
not to take anything away from the first album, because I love that album.
I love the first album.
It's very folky.
Yeah.
It's very folky for us.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was
recorded in our mate's bedroom.
It's kind of what defined us of what we wanted to be. Yeah, we recorded that on the budget and super cheap. And yeah. No, I love that album so much.
Yeah, me too, man.
But I am excited to I think the step between that and our second album is huge.
Well, put it this way: there's songs that we wrote around about the same sort of time as the first album. We were choosing the songs for the first album, and they're starting to come back into the set. And there's a good chance a couple of them are going to go on the second album. And we're talking songs that are like nearly 10 years old, but we haven't actually performed live. Some of them we're just starting to now.
Yeah.
And so, but I think because we've grown as musicians. It's
we just could give them a different light.
They've grown with us without us knowing, which is weird.
Which is nice. It's nice to be. We're very fortunate. We've got probably about 3 albums worth of material.
Yeah,
we could we could record.
Yeah.
So to have the choice of songs is very, because we know a lot of people who struggle with writing and writer's block and all that, and we go through small phases of it.
But I've got we've got processes and people we can talk to, and I've got a pal who gave me a bit of advice for anybody who does suffer with writer's block, and he's a poet and a bit of a philosopher, and he said whenever I got a block, he said I just sit down and I write about what I'm doing right there and then. I am sat at my desk. I cannot write. And he finds it gets him out of it, and it's helped me a little bit over the last couple of months when I've been struggling. I don't struggle very often, but I've got a deep old process, so I dive into things and I don't come up for air until it's done. But I've learned that it's sometimes this process can take 5 minutes, sometimes it can take 6 months, a year to
Plus, you're quite old and very wise.
Yes.
Oh no, I think that is a great bit of advice, actually. I've not heard that one before, but no, it does make sense. It forces the words out of you. It's
it does, and it makes you not afraid to put something on the page, which often you are.
It certainly is. The fear is a big part, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to try and remember that nobody's looking over your bloody shoulder. Nobody cares what you do, But what comes out of it, people might care about.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been lucky enough to move people to tears, and we've had people in hysterics.
In a good way.
Yeah. In a good way, yeah. We haven't picked on them so much that they cry. But no, it's nice. We've had some lovely experiences with things like that, and it's nice to be able to move people, because that's why we do it for ourselves. You know, we do it because we get moved by things, and we want to share our experiences. You know, spread the love, as we like to say. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's fantastic. And speaking of, experiences, you guys have been able to play some shows this summer. We mentioned already Big Love. You played Chicken Stock as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So how's this summer been? Getting out and playing these shows. Obviously exciting time for the band, as you say, kind of moving on a bit more. Not serious, probably the word, but certainly a new phase of the band.
It's a new phase for Joe.
Yeah. So how's it been?
Aside from actually going and playing shows, we've got to see so many live bands again.
Yeah,
because we missed out on all that as well.
Of course.
It wasn't just the performing that we missed. We missed going out and seeing live music because it's such a big part of our lives.
And we gig so much. We do. I mean, before this year, we've spent a lot of time doing jam nights and open mics and gigs as well. So we've been out, like, we practice a couple of times a week, and then on top of that we were going out 3 or 4 times a week, so we never got a chance to see live bands anyway.
No, not much.
No.
Yeah, but it's been a because of the festivals and things that we've managed to do, and supporting other bands who have other supports, we've just seen so much live music this year. Makes me smile. Makes me smile.
But yeah, I mean, going back to what you said, the number of gigs that we've had this summer's just been crazy. It really has. We got to April and looked at May and went, oh, we haven't got a lot there. And then May was full. And then we got into May and was like, oh, well, June, we haven't got a lot in June. And then June was full. And then and it's just carried on. And it's a nice way to be. It's really nice. And we're traveling more than we've ever thought we would, really.
Yeah. I think it's got to a point now where we get gigs out of gigs more than we've ever got.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That is. And I think we've seen it obviously with the impression you made on Pet Needs, and obviously getting extra gigs from that one. And I believe when you played Chicken Stock, you were invited back the next day. Was it Chicken Stock or Big Love? One of the festivals I did see, you were invited back the next day.
Yeah. So. We were booked to play the Saturday at 3:15 on the second stage.
Yeah.
And it went down really well. It was a very different kind of a festival to go to from what we used to, because as you can see, I go to Glastonbury pretty much every time I work it. So I managed to go every year.
You do?
Yeah, I do. We've actually been once together, worked it, and wrote a song about it.
We did?
Yeah. First and last, check it out.
Yeah.
But the Chicken Stock was a different vibe. It was kind of a folky feel, and it was on a bank which everybody perched their camping chairs on in front of the main stage. And then when they finished, the second stage started up, so everybody did a 90-degree turn to watch the other act, and they did that for 4 days, and it was so much fun. So much fun. I mean, some people get quite uncomfortable performing to people seated.
Yeah,
we don't care, as long as they're clapping and they're singing. And yeah.
And then I mean, and Simon, Simon had spoken to Nate, our pal, and said, "Do me a favour, ask Oxbowlake if they want to play on a Sunday."
Yeah, basically, someone pulled out through illness, unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us, we were asked to perform again. So we did a completely different set, and
I legged it backstage. I was like, yeah, tell him yes. And he was like, chill out, man. We weren't going to give it to anyone else. We were just, it's for you. So that was like
excellent,
really complimentary, man. They're like Beans on Toast and Tanker's Henge and all these big bands there. And they asked us to play again, and it was like, that's cool. It made us feel really good,
Yeah, no, you're certainly making a really good impression, clearly. And speaking of making a good impression, actually, that kind of leads me on to the next subject, which is what we call setlist science. So when you're picking a set list for a show, how much importance do you place in the structure of that set list? And have you got any rules that you tend to try and follow?
Well, first of all, we have pretty much a way of walking into a room and gauging the audience and going, right, and then having a specific set list for that feel, for that vibe.
We tend to write a set list roughly, and then we'll go and play it. At the moment, we kind of know what we're walking into, but if we don't, we'll have a sort of standard-ish set list, and we'll walk into the room and go, right, okay, well, this one needs to be like this one needs to be like this. So, and we've got enough songs to be able to go, okay, well, we can pick from different sort of feels.
Yeah, so hitting with the folk vibes or hitting with the punk vibes, or the upbeat vibes.
Yeah.
And because of the Pet Needs gigs, I suppose we've been playing a lot more upbeat stuff to fit in with what they do. But then we hit summer, and that's carried on the upbeat vibes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No, I really enjoy asking. Sorry, I really enjoy asking that question because I'm a bit of a setlist geek, and it's quite interesting to hear how people approach it. You get different approaches to it, and yours seems quite organic, really.
It is. I think it has to be, really. You've got to fit with the vibes that are going on at that time. And we've got some beautiful slow song, picky songs that we play, especially if we get a full set, which at the moment we're doing an hour, but we have done like 2-hour sets, which is quite tricky, especially when nobody knows your music. But it's okay. We play a couple of places where we're able to go down and play sort of 2-3/4 of an hour to 1 hour sets, and people just sit and love the music. But at the moment we're lucky enough to get like a 1 hour set, and we can chuck a couple of the slower numbers in there, the more meaningful ones. They're all meaningful, but
it's the touching one.
Oh, excellent. Well, obviously a lot of good stuff coming in the future for Oxbowlake. The EP, potentially an album a lot further down the line, a lot more live shows that sounds like are coming. So obviously listeners, these days you want to head to social media, and Oxbowlake have done a really good thing, and all their channels are the same name. So you can go to Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and it's all Oxbowlake Music to get there. Quite often bands... It annoys me when I have to read them out, and they're all different, and it's just like, come on. But you guys have nailed it.
It makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense.
It does, definitely does.
We have to tell people as well, so
exactly. And Oxbowlake Music, again, for listeners, that is the place to go, and quite easy to remember. So well done. Thank you very much for joining me. This is the moment I alluded to earlier, where Pet Needs decided to shout out you guys. So what would be your final message for listeners today?
Well, obviously check out Pet Needs because they're go see them live. I think in general, just go out and see some live music.
Go out and start loving life again.
Because we've discovered so many. It's the way to discover music. Like, it's all great having Spotify suggest artists of the weeks, and because you've listened to this, listen to that. But actually just be a bit spontaneous and go to a local independent music venue and support it, because they are struggling. They're struggling, especially in Wales. I'm not saying come to Wales, but if you live in Wales, get out and watch some live music, because it's hard. It's really hard. Just a general get out and see live music.
And I think that is the best message. I love that. So fantastic. Listeners, as we say, Oxbowlake Music, follow the band on all their social media channels. Check out Theroux on our playlist and on all streaming sites. And of course, check out the band live. If you see they're playing near you, please do head down and see them.
We pride ourselves in. Live, playing live.
Well, thank you both for joining me, and I'll make sure I do come and check you out live at some point soon.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there of Oxbowlake. Make sure you check out their single Theroux over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. And of course, follow the band on social media to stay up to date with everything coming from them. Please also make sure you follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And please, while you're at it, do remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, whatever you're watching or listening. And we'll be back very shortly with another edition of the Discover New Music podcast.